Welcome to Imperfect Momming. Our children are constantly looking to us for examples. The term role model doesn't quite cut it here. We are shaping their worldview with every move we make. You see, it's not in the lectures we give or moments where we are actively attempting to teach them. It's in the micro movements we make, the unconscious ways in which we navigate life. We are constantly teaching our children how to show up for themselves, their friends, their future partners, and even their future children. So what can we do to ensure we are raising thoughtful, compassionate, self-aware human beings? We have to become them ourselves. No one is perfect, but we can still all be better, and it starts with self-healing. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Imperfect Momming, and we have a very special guest today, Kathy Stowell. Welcome to Imperfect Momming.
Thanks for having me, Alicia. So awesome to be here.
Absolutely. And we spent the last 5 minutes trying to figure out how we know each other, and
You seem so familiar. Experiencing some heavy deja vu right now.
Really, yeah, there's a glitch in the matrix somewhere. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I am Kathy Stowell, and I am the founder of Bliss Beyond Nap Time. And I've had this little operation since my daughter was a toddler, and she's going to college now. So I've been around for a while. So I live in Nelson, British Columbia, and what I do every day is I'm a business coach for moms who coach moms, and that's where my journey began. I have been a coach for moms for over a decade. Love, love, love everything moms and coaching moms. All the moms and coach stuff. And yeah, that's what I do today is I help them learn how to become mom coaches themselves inside my coaching training / certification called Mom Coach School. And I offer training inside my monthly membership called Mom Coach Club. And yeah, just live here with my husband of 21 and a half years, our two teens. I got a son as well who's 15, and our two wiener dogs, Angel and Wilbur.
I love that. And I'm getting a sense that you enjoy coaching moms.
Yeah, did I mention that?
I love that so much. So what inspired you to work with moms and then to support
Mhm.
moms who support moms?
Yeah, totally. So, what inspired me to work with moms? So, when I met my husband, when we first began dating, we started talking about each other's dreams for the future. And I confessed to him, I've always wanted to live on a farm. Ever since I was a little kid, my dad had a lot of clients who were farmers. So we spent a lot of time on their farms, and I was so jealous of them. And in my head, I'm like, one day I'm going to live in a farm. And I was a city girl. And he said, that sounds like a good idea. He was into it. So I thought that was cool. And pretty soon after, we found a piece of land we loved. And we spent a couple of years trying to figure out how to move from the big city to this land to start a hobby farm. So when we were finally did it, and that's when my daughter, who's 19 years old now, she just turned a year old. We did that big move, and I started a kind of like a mommy blog as a way to keep our own family back home, in tabs of what we're up to. And I started documenting, setting up this dream and learning how to milk a cow and permaculture. I was really into that topic back then. And also crafty. I was really into crafting. I was spinning yarn from local animal fiber and sewing all my clothes. And I loved blogging. And I also like making money. So it's like, how am I going to monetize this? And I started off with selling the creations, the yarn and the clothes I was creating. And that didn't feel very sustainable. I did not like going to the post office. So I just was starting to get into the online e-course giving kind of just at the dawn of that era. So I started offering an e-course on how to sew. And it was targeted to moms because that was the followers on my blog. And then I started getting photos of the creations these ladies were making, and the look of pride and accomplishment in their little faces. I was like, I want to go deeper. So I decided to become a creativity coach to encourage moms and coach them to create that time and space for them to explore what their own passions are outside of motherhood. And ever since, I've always been contemplating, like, what are the keys to this? How do I do it myself? Because that was a question I kept getting over and over again from my readers is, how do you do all you do? Because back in the day, I was homeschooling, homesteading, blogging about it, Etsy shopping. So I came up with some principles and processes, and that's what led me to start coaching moms, which then led them to confiding in me. They wanted to coach moms themselves, and that's when I opened up Mom Coach School. And the natural next step was to help them make money from this business.
I'm like kicking the younger version of myself for not getting into like really getting into blogging in 2008
Oh
when it
yeah.
like really started, because I loved writing, and I
Mhm.
actually really love, I mean I still do, but I really loved writing for other people to read on the internet. Like I
Yeah.
remember there's a website, and I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a secret diary, but it was live diary, live journal, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And um and I got one comment that made me really paranoid, and then I
Uh-oh.
stopped doing it.
Yeah.
And um you know, I get that, you know, just probably wasn't my path at the time, or you know, ultimately, but like it's just when I think about like I was on the cusp of that time when
Mhm.
before it got big. Um, and now it's just like when YouTube first started, and if you got into YouTube when it first started, there was a lot less competition noise.
Totally, yeah. It was like
So,
a
but,
weird frontier because where we
mm,
were living, nobody had high-speed internet. So I'd be telling them, "Oh, I'm gonna take photos now because if I don't blog about it, it never happened." And they're like, "What are you talking about? What is this blogging you speak of?" Because
mhm.
nobody even had a computer. It was really weird. So yeah, it was weird and this like Wild West style frontier and just kind of figuring it out. It was really fun.
And the other part that excited me about your story was the crafting, because I've been cross stitching since
Oh,
I was 12, I want to
oh my
say, maybe
goodness.
10 or 11, when whatever age fifth grade was. And I like I have the next 4 years worth of projects planned out
Oh, fun.
and keep me off Etsy.
Yeah, there's some cool cross stitching. Do you follow a pattern or do you kind of like just freestyle?
Oh, I'm definitely pattern
Yeah,
driven. I
me
would
too.
mess stuff up if I was.
I know. I just turn my brain off. Tell me what to do.
Yeah. So I love telling this story, but I haven't told it, I don't think, on the podcast yet. That so I had not 4 years, but the next 3 years of projects, because each of these projects takes about 9 months to a year,
Oh, wow.
because they're pretty big. I do cross stitch stockings and Christmas stockings, and um I had twins last year for another mom, and I wanted to make her cross stitch
Oh,
stockings. So the twins have each a stocking, and then um, I have a baby sampler. So I was I was talking to my mother-in-law, and my father-in-law passed away in 2022. And she was telling me that ever since, she's been finding feathers that he leaves
Oh,
for
yeah.
her.
Mhm.
And I was on an Etsy store, and there was this feather with inside of an infinity symbol, and it's all the colors of the
Mm,
it's so
wow.
beautiful. And so I bought it, and I said, okay, I'm going to make this, but it's going to be like 4 years from now that you get it,
Wow.
because I've got all these other projects. I showed it to her, and she just burst into tears. And so in my mind, it was like, oh, it just moved up the rank.
Yeah. Yep.
And no, I don't want to restart my computer.
Abort, abort.
Stop that. It better not restart in 4 minutes. That would not be fun. So anyway, I put the deadline of Christmas 2023 to finish it, and I started it in October. So it would have been normal amount of cross stitching. It would have taken 6 months,
Mhm.
because it wasn't a big project, but with life and not
Yeah.
24/7 cross stitching. By the end of it, I like the last week before Christmas, I was really I was starting to resent having to sit there and cross stitch all day. It was like I have other stuff to
Yeah.
do. And when I recognized that, I was like, well, I'm now putting resentment into this project.
Mm,
So I'd rather just give her the unfinished project and then give her the finished project when it's finished, because then it's like she'll be gifted it twice. Like, so she
yeah.
didn't know I was working on it, but and then I finished it a week after Christmas. So
Oh, there you go.
yeah, it didn't take
Wow.
that. I was almost done. If I
Yeah.
didn't have all the other things that you do for Christmas as moms,
Mm-hmm.
all the wrapping in my house and baking, then I would have finished it. But there's the things that are also important.
Wow. Yeah, you said cross stitching. I thought this teeny tiny, like one of those little circles that you put on your wall.
I have
Different.
one. I'm like, I have one of those. Can I, is it? Actually, I do. It's back here. This one never got, well, it had a frame, and then I don't know what happened to the frame, but
Oh,
it's
cute.
little. It's a little
Yeah.
bit bigger than
That's
this.
gorgeous.
If
Wow.
you're not watching on YouTube, go watch on YouTube so you can see it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Remember when I made that.
Oh, wow.
That was pre-kid. I'll tell you that. That was pre-kid, and he's 12 now. So
Aw.
yeah. Um. So we got off on a little tangent of the crafting.
Yeah. Makes me sleepy now though. I'm not as crafty as I used to be.
That
My
was
only crafting now, and it's not even really a craft, is working on jigsaw puzzles. So that's kind of my relaxing jam now.
Do you find, because you said something earlier that made me, you said something about moms finding what they're passionate about outside of being a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you find women specifically and slash or just moms, do you find, is that a common issue?
Yeah, I think what we're passionate about kind of dictates how we identify. Not to be like all existentialist, but I'm just, for example, when I met my husband, I was fearless. I was I was up for anything. When he met me, I was really into snowboarding, and he got me into rock climbing. We went to these crazy rave parties and stay up all night. And today I'm just like, who was I? Like I was still me, but a complete different like model of me. And he went away this week. Actually, he just got back yesterday, so yesterday was kind of crazy. And he goes not often, but he goes on at least a couple of epic ski trips, like a multi-day backcountry ski trips a year. And so he did that yesterday for 4 days with two other couples. And I go to the gym, and all these women that I go to the gym with, everyone here in our town skis. It's a ski town, basically. And I am very much après ski now. My vibe is I'll be here, I'll have nachos ready and hot chocolate for everyone. But it's just kind of just checking in and say, what is it that, like, kind of like a guilty pleasure without any guilt? What am I into without having feel like I have to prove something to anyone? What naturally lights me up? And so it's just a matter of checking in on a frequent basis and just being honest with yourself, and then exploring with curiosity. What is it that I'm into? Like, I remember my mom just being so perplexed by me because I was trying everything. She'd come visit us once a year and she's like, why are you taking horseback riding lessons? Like, why not? It's just something that I'm curious about. So now I'm obsessed with pickleball. It's just, of course, when you're, and I think I mentioned it with moms, is that you're talking about not the same thing, but your cross stitching project. It's like kids are like the epic cross stitch project, right? We almost, I don't know, I don't want to use blanket statement, but I know that I felt that, my kids come and they're this like pattern almost, and they're perfect and beautiful, but it's this work that it takes focus. It takes a lot of, like you were saying, prioritizing our times. Oh, this is move up the priority. Well, now it's going to have to go down. And underneath that desire to make it perfect, not to mess up this pristine gift, we sometimes forget to check in. Well, what is it that I really want to do? Just like questioning what that programming is of what a good mom looks like, or what a good citizen looks like, what a good, human might look like. And depriving ourselves of what naturally lights us up is actually not doing anyone any favor. So I think it's a really important exercise to check in. I like to do it quarterly, seasonally.
And you basically like you sort of mentioned the title of my book,
No.
which is Good Mom Rules.
OMG.
Yeah.
I must have been picking up on that.
The good mom rules are the things that we aren't aware of. We're not aware that we're following them, and we break them because things happen. We either can't, like a good mom stays at home with her kids. I'm using air quotes. If you're not watching
Yeah.
YouTube, again, watch YouTube. But a good mom stays at home with her kids, unless she has to work or wants to work. Forbid, right? But we feel guilty because we think that good moms stay home with their kids, and there are some moms that stay home with their kids that are absolutely miserable. And is a miserable mom a good mom? I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think that I think not that you're a bad mom because you're miserable, but like our children deserve a fulfilled mom, whatever that is, that's fulfilling you.
For sure. Yeah, my mom didn't meet my daughter until she was about a month old, because she used to be a snowbird back in the day, flying from Canada to Arizona for the winters. And so she didn't meet my daughter until she was about like 4 or 6 weeks old. And I remember one evening she was crying, my daughter, and I was like, I don't know what to do. How do you make her, like, she's really quiet during the day, but right before bed. And then my mom picked her up and she just kind of jiggled her. And I can't believe I'm going to mention horses again, but she was like, babies are like horses. They could smell your fear, right?
Mhm.
And so just like holding them and just being kind of like, I got you. And I just kind of like yeah, I got this. And babies can pick up on that energy shifts, kind of similar to horses, they can like, and I think on a similar vein, children can pick up on the flip side emotion of if you're feeling excited about, what's on your day's agenda, or, you're having fun, you are being like fully who you are and not like putting on some kind of mask and um doing things just out of obligation. Like of course we have responsibilities, but being like, having those boundaries so that we're free to, do what we're genuinely excited about. Kids can pick up on that, and isn't that what we all wish for our kids, is for them, like I was saying, I have two older teens, and my daughter, though she's going to this college, she's taking a lot of general stuff because she doesn't know what she wants to do. And I told her, just try a little bit of whatever like gets you excited. Because that's what I truly desire for her, is to find either a career or some kind of livelihood that, like me, I wake up, I cannot wait. I wake up at 6 in the morning because I cannot wait to do what it is that I do. So that is what I hope for my kids, regardless if it's plumbing or like, opening up a coffee shop or going the corporate or entrepreneur path. Like whatever you do, I want it to be something that, gets you excited, and don't let any other like you were saying, a good mom, and what you described as society's expectations of good mom. I have kind of like the flip experience. I always felt self-conscious, like working from home, that my family members saw me as a slacker. Like I thought that they saw like my sister-in-law and, friends of the family with like the mothers being these successful corporate ladies, like that's a good mom. She's got her poop together, right? So we all have our like our different and projecting basically. So who knows what everyone thinks. And as I get older, I'm trying, and actually it's getting easier to just not care what other people are thinking about me anyway.
I've heard that there's like an age where people reach and they're
Yeah.
just like, I
I
don't
think I'm
care what.
approaching it. I
Yeah.
think pickleball's helped me get there.
Yeah.
It's contagious.
Um, yeah, I think that, you hit the nail on the head about the energy. And one of my clients was telling me that she'd come home from work and her son would be fine all day and then he would start to cry.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what is your energy when you're walking through the door? Like, have you shed the day yet? Or
Yeah.
are you bringing the stress of the day into the house? Like, how are you
Mhm.
feeling? Let's start there. Because if you're in a space where you're calm and collected and he's upset, then maybe he's upset. Maybe he's just expressing to you that he missed you.
Yeah.
But we got to know where you're at first to
Yes.
see if he's picking up on your energy, or if this is just, if there's some other need that he's communicating. But let's get you in a place where you're not frazzled first
Mm. Poor little guy.
and check in, see where we're at.
Sorry, getting all clucky when you talk about little boys. My youngest is a boy.
Yeah.
No, that's great tip for sure. And just being at a place where we could hold that space for them to, sometimes they just need to, like, I just think of, I remember when I was little, and if I wipe out, I was too cool at school to cry about it. But as soon as I got home and I'd see my mom, and I would just crumble and like, I fell today. Sometimes we just want to hold it until we're with someone who's feeling is a
Yeah.
safe space for us. And sometimes, and usually it's mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really
They
sweet.
save the best air quotes behavior for mom. But that's another reason to have left the stress of the day
Yeah.
outside so that you can be a container
Yes.
for that emotion. Because when you have your own emotions that you've been holding on to all day,
Mm-hmm.
and then now they're dumping onto you,
Oh
like
yeah.
you're already full, like whatever you're full of, that stress, that's what comes out. And yeah.
Oh, and it goes on forever. Like I was saying, my husband, he was on a ski trip this week. And my kids are super self-reliant. They're like 15 and 19 for God's sake. But I got my two wiener dogs and they're just like two toddlers. And they're like, you know, I'm so blessed that we delegate things, right? I take my son to school and then he walks the dogs and he empties his dishwasher and then I do the breakfast, and then it was just me doing all the things. And I had a meltdown with each kid separately on the same day on the same topic. My daughter forgot her wallet while I was driving her to the bus stop. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then my son forgot his runner. So I had to drive home. And that's when the snowstorm came. And I'm like, this is like, you guys have to be more organized. But really, I think it was my energy of feeling that I'm forgetting something. I can't drop the ball on this because everything's going to just unravel. So reflecting on that, because, I felt really guilty after. I really made a mountain out of molehill. Or I was going to use a snowball analogy, but yeah, I made a big deal out of nothing. And, but I think really it was just a moment to reflect on, I needed to take a moment to like work on my own nervous system and just take a breather and just remember that, yeah, maybe there's a lesson in here that I need to just basically be more organized myself and then like hold space for them so we're not rushing out the door, take a breath, and maybe not drink that extra triple shot latte.
Right. That could affect some people's too. My son couldn't find his cell phone this morning and we still can't find, like I looked when I got home and I was like, but the tracker says that it's in the house and that the battery, that it has 60 some percent battery, so it's not dead. So we don't know why Find My Phone isn't working.
Wow.
But and he was really irritated that he couldn't find it. And it's like, well, sorry, bud. Like, this is why before we go to bed, we put our phone on the charger where it belongs, because when we don't do that, then we're spending the morning looking for it.
Yeah.
And there's a hard stop where we got to walk out the door.
Yep.
And if you don't have your phone, then you don't get your phone today. And that's just one of those lessons that we have natural consequences for.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like, I know the phone's here somewhere. I don't know where. It's probably under the couch.
Yeah, it's gonna be somewhere weird. And you'll be like, oh, that's a weird place for that to be. Yeah, he'll find it. That's so funny.
And my fiance was like, well, all the time he spends looking for the phone will be all the time that he's not on it. And I'm like,
there you go.
Silver lining.
Totally. Yeah.
Is there a piece of advice that you want to give to moms listening?
Yeah, for sure. So I have this thing I call the 4 pillars of mom bliss or mama bliss. And I encourage you to just write down these 4 things: self-care, creativity, values, and simplicity. And then beside each one of those words, write down just one word of it's going to like remind you to douse yourself up with this for this season. So when I say season, I mean like if you're listening to this in the winter, like for the rest of the winter or for the rest of the summer or the next 3 months. And self-care, just choose one little area of self-care that you're really going to go all in on, not dropping everything else. And then in creativity, like we're talking, cross-stitching, jigsaw puzzle, like just some kind of creative outlet you're going to treat yourself to on a regular basis for this season. Values, do a online test on values and see which one you're really going to celebrate, and remind yourself of what that value is by treating yourself to some like a necklace that says it, or Google a quote that resonates with you with that value word in it and print it out in a really pretty printout or something and have it somewhere. And for simplicity, just decide one thing that you're going to say no to so you can say yes to more things that are in alignment with that value you chose just for the next 3 months, and then put on the calendar the next 3 months from now, going through the exercise again and just going all in. It just like making it kind of like bite size like this makes it less overwhelming. And these things kind of become a weird kind of habit after a while.
I love it. And I did hear you mention earlier that you look quarterly. So I have your verbal evidence, verbal
Mhm.
confirmation that you actually do that.
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
It's fun.
It's simple and it doesn't seem like super time consuming. So like it could be done in half an hour
Totally.
or less, I would imagine.
Oh yeah. Or even like,
Yeah,
let's say 5 minutes. It could be done in
5
5
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah.
You want to be
I
speedy.
was gonna say 5 minutes and I didn't want to disrespect the tool, but
Yeah. Or, it could be as little or as long as you want. You can even, if
yeah.
you want, I almost did this. I told my husband I was going to go on an Airbnb retreat for 4 days because I don't ski. I'm just going to go at a hot springs. And yeah, that could be a thing. Like mom only getaway stayed in an Airbnb for like a night or 2 or 3. And yeah, you can go deeper on this exercise and really go all out. 5 minutes, or how many hours is that? 30, 40, 72 hours? I don't know.
96 hours,
Oh, it's
4 days.
awesome.
Oh, that sounds
I
amazing.
usually do that. Yeah, I usually do that a couple of times a year. I told him I'm not going to do it. He came back. I'm like, I'm going to wait till February. Like, it's just so cold and blizzardy here. I don't want to get on the roads.
Could you imagine if every mom took 100 hours in a
Ooh.
row to herself
Oh,
twice
wow.
a year?
Do you see all the muscles relax in my jaw when you just
Yeah,
said that out loud? That sounds,
yeah.
yeah, I think that could really change the world.
I mean, it really would, because like the women are the feminine energy is
Yeah.
what the world needs more of. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of women who are operating in the wounded masculine.
Yeah.
And if we could get back into that divine feminine energy,
Yeah.
it would shift a lot
Mm.
of things in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for presencing that. Um, is there a book that has been instrumental in your personal development journey?
Yeah. This is it's kind of my go-to answer. And I've been saying this answer so much for the last few years. I've actually recently downloaded it on Audible. And after I listened to Elon Musk's biography on Audible, I'm going to listen to this again. It's The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Have you read that?
I think I have it on Audible and I don't
Yeah,
think I actually finished it.
I know. I liked reading the book like a long time ago. So I don't know how I'm going to like listening to it, but definitely, oh, I loved it. So like I said, I've been married for 20, we got married in 2021. So no, 2001. So we've been married for a long time. And, like I remember people, with girlfriends, they're like, oh, there's this author. He writes a whole bunch of books on marriage, right? Like looking for like, oh, we're going through, you should read this book. It's good for marriages. Gay Hendricks has written a bunch of books for marriages, but he wrote a book about upper limit beliefs that blew my mind. And so the concept that has been really helpful for me and explained a lot about my behaviors coming into not only my marriage, but also into my entrepreneurial journey and parenting. It's like we all have set within us almost like a happiness barometer of what we deem ourselves worthy of having, like success or happiness. And then the interesting ways we can self-sabotage when we start to feel that we're getting traction of like success or income or ooh, life, the other shoe's going to drop here. And so it really shone the light on weird ways that I've been self-sabotaging and people often do, like overspending or starting a fight with your partner and even getting sick. Like if I was doing a launch in my business, it was like why am I getting sick? And then it was a great opportunity to be like, is this really that, or is it something in my head? So it's just good to have awareness of how we might be, shunting our growth in kind of like really sneaky ways. And of course, the book puts it so much more eloquently. And there's even some like little marriage tips that he slipped in there that I thought was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And they've been like really helpful for me.
I don't know if you saw my face when you said getting sick at the launch of something, and
I think so.
like every time, like filtering, like,
yeah.
go listen to that book. So you said relationship, that he's written some relationship books, and the relationship book that I know for a fact that is the reason that my 8-year-long relationship with my fiance has lasted and been as good as it is because of a book called Getting the Love You Want, by Harville Hendrix. And
weird.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's a relationship, because when you said Gay Hendrix, I was like, did he write that book? And
is Harville a woman or a man?
That's a great question. I think
I
it's
wonder
a
if
man.
they're
There's a
married.
man on the cover. But
okay, it's probably a guy. Yeah, it sounds like a guy name. I'm pretty sure he's married to a woman. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
maybe it's their son.
it's their son. But yeah, so also a great book for anybody that's who's in a relationship and romantic relationship, because it is definitely geared towards that. Just such a good book that changed the way that I thought about and entered into relationships. And he and I were friends before we began our relationship, and he said, you got to read this book. And I couldn't get enough of it. It was another one on Audible, but that book changed my life.
Can you tell me again, like the name of it? Getting the Love You Want?
Getting the Love You Want. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna put that down. Yeah, I got so many Audible credits, it's crazy. And I love self-help, and I love memoirs. Getting the Love You Want. Awesome.
And where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, so Bliss Beyond Nap Time. If you just Google that, you'll find me. It's easy.
No, that's pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and for a lovely conversation and a little stroll down memory lane. And
that was awesome. It was so fun.
And I appreciate everything that you're doing in the world.
Thank you. You too. Thanks, Alicia.
And there'll be another episode of Imperfect Momming coming for you all next week. And until then, keep healing. Bye, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to Imperfect Momming. It's time for us to step up and realize that our power is not in trying to shape our children. Our power lies in shaping ourselves into the people we want our children to model themselves after. Don't just do it for your kids. Do it for yourself. When you become a more self-aware, compassionate, and confident person, you and everyone around you benefit. For more information about me and my work, visit alicialyons.com. That's ALYSIALYONS.com. See you next time.